What's going on, Thunder Nation? Jason Miles joining you once again. We're excited to have the voice of the San Jose Barracuda, Nick Nollenberger. Nick, thanks so much for taking some time to visit with us.
I appreciate it. Excited about the partnership moving forward, and great to meet you officially over Zoom. So, yeah, can't wait for another season on the horizon. But thank you for having me.
Now, it's been a couple of years since you guys have had an official ECHL partner. Is this a big change for you?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing first and foremost. The last couple of years, it's been an interesting partnership with Orlando. It's been unofficial. That's been the affiliate of the Tampa Bay Lightning, and we've just been sending players that way. So to get an ECHL affiliate, I think is really valuable for our young players to know that they've got a place that they can go to. There's some more consistency when it comes to reassignment and recalls. There's a partnership there that's built in. It's not just, hey, we're going to send you to Orlando. And in some cases, if there was a logjam at a position, we're going to send you somewhere else. We had players going to Allen at one point. We used to be affiliated with them, but we sent a goalie there a couple of years ago. So to have an actual affiliate, I think is really beneficial for some of our young players, and just to provide a consistency. Excuse me, as my dog knocks over my lamp here. Provides a consistency just for players to know, where they're going to be, and that they're not being forgotten about. And that there's a program, if you will, and a coaching staff that has their best interest, and it's to get them up to the American League and eventually to the NHL.
Nick, can you share some of the changes that have gone on within the organization, starting with the San Jose Sharks, and then how that's affected you guys down with the Barracuda?
Yeah, it's been a tremendous offseason. I mean, the most bustling, busy offseason in basically the history of the San Jose Sharks organization. You had Doug Wilson, who was the general manager for almost 20 years, one of the very best to ever do it. The consistency that the Sharks had over his tenure was almost unprecedented. He retires, essentially, steps aside due to some health issues. And now we've got a completely new regime. We've got a new coaching staff for the Sharks, an entirely new coaching staff for the Barracuda, a new front office. Mike Greer comes in, a former San Jose Shark. He takes over as the new GM, hires David Quinn, formerly of the New York Rangers, to take over with the Sharks. And John McCarthy, who was a longtime player with the Barracuda, now takes over as the new head coach of the Barracuda. And at the AHL level, that's a tremendous change, because Roy Sommer had held the position for 23 years, the longest tenured coach in American Hockey League history, and the winningest coach in AHL history. He moves on, was going to join kind of a advisor role within the organization. They wanted to keep him around. He still had the bug to coach. So he continues his coaching career now in San Diego in the American Hockey League. So stays within the Pacific Division. So there's been change at every single level within the organization this offseason. And you look at just the players that have come in and departed, we're going to have almost an entirely new roster this year in the American Hockey League. I would say 75% of it will be new faces, which is going to be good in many ways, given the fact that the team really struggled last year to find its footing throughout the year. And hopefully the insertion of some veteran players, a new crop of young, hungry prospects will be a perfect blend to have a little bit more success on the ice.
Who should some Thunder fans who might want to watch the Sharks of the Barracuda look out for this season?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, because we had the youngest team in the American Hockey League a year ago, and that's something that we've been able to say basically for my entire time with the team. We've had just a young team year in and year out. And it's great to have youth, because it gives young players an opportunity to cut their teeth at the American League level. But sometimes I think we ran into the issue where guys were put into positions where maybe they hadn't quite earned it yet, or weren't quite ready in their careers to take on those roles, whether it was power play, top 6 minutes as a forward, even, top pairing. We had a kid last year, Nick Cicek, and give him all the kudos in the world, because he ended up earning an entry-level contract, but he was on an AHL deal and basically was one of our top power play D-men, was playing as a top pairing defenseman. And it gives you an idea of just where the team was at in terms of its depth on the blue line, really at the forward position, even at the goalie position. So there's lots of different players. Always interesting to see who comes in and then ends up maybe splitting time between the ECHL and the NHL, or excuse me, the American League. Just going back to last year, Montana Onyebuchi was a guy who split time between the two leagues. He'll be back on an AHL deal, potentially could play a little bit in Wichita. Tough kid, has gotten better and better really with every game. Had 11 fighting majors last year, which led all rookies. And we all know that fighting has kind of fallen off a little bit at the pro level, but it's still an important element to certain players' games. So he's an interesting guy. Just going down the list of guys who are coming in, we've got we just signed Mark Lewinsky to an American League deal. He could be a kid that goes in between the two leagues. Keep going down the list. We got so many fresh faces. We got 35 guys in camp. 10 of those guys are tryout players. So it'll be really interesting. I think there's jobs to be had. There's a lot of competition. So hard to circle specific guys at this point, just because we're so early in the process. So we'll circle back as the season continues, maybe a month or so in, and we'll have a little bit more clarity on who's going to be slotted where.
Now, I know you're early into camp, but has that been affected with the Sharks trip overseas to Europe?
Yeah, it has been an interesting element to it all, because the Sharks carried a little bit more personnel than maybe they would traditionally in this situation. And Dan Rusanowski, who's the longtime radio voice of the Sharks, we were kind of going back and forth the other day, and he had said to me, and I thought it was a great point, the opening night roster and cuts and guys who make the team, although the first regular season games are on Friday and Saturday over in Prague, Czech Republic, the real roster won't really be solidified in his mind until opening night, when the team comes back to the Bay Area. So whether a guy made the team right away, made the trip to Europe, or a guy was returned back to the American Hockey League, that doesn't necessarily mean it's set in stone and this is going to be the lineup for the rest of the year. Plus, you add the element that you've got your American League team in the same city. That provides a fluid situation for the brass to recall players, assign players. We see it all the time where it's a day of decision. A guy gets called up in the morning and then ends up playing that night. And that's just the benefit of having your AHL affiliate so close. So yeah, it's impacted having the team over in Europe. It'll bolster the Barracuda lineup, I think, in the present future, if you will. But we'll see how things shake out in the next couple of weeks once the team returns back, the Sharks that is, and things kind of slot where they will.
Now, I know you said that camp started earlier this week. What have you noticed so far about the pace and how the play's been?
Yeah, the pace has been really high. I mentioned John McCarthy is in his first year as a head coach in the American Hockey League, was an assistant a couple of years back. He actually was in his 10th season of pro, and he suffered a stroke during his season. Could have continued to play, needed a procedure, and would have had to sit out the remainder of the year and then return the following year. But the organization had so much respect for him and saw him in a coaching role down the line. So they offered him an opportunity to just jump right onto the bench in an assistant coaching role. So he finished up the remainder of the season in that position. And then over the last couple of years, he's taken on a development role where he spends some time on the ice with the Barracuda, also goes on the road and visits with prospects that are in the CHL world under that umbrella. So the WHL, the OHL, and the Quebec League. But this year he takes over as the head coach. So for his first real opportunity in having the reins, if you will, of being a head coach in the AHL, it's been a pretty high tempo camp so far. They've got the group split in two. So you don't have 35 guys on the ice all at once. Allows guys to get valuable coaching time. So they've split it right down the middle, essentially. You've got two different groups. There's 4 goalies, 11 defense, and 20 forwards, I believe, if memory serves me correct. So the pace has been really good. It's been fun to have a lot of these tryout guys, 10 of them under contract that are in camp. We have not had that over the last couple of years. One big factor, COVID. So that's kind of shrunk down our training camp roster. But 2, we just have not had an ECHL affiliate. So you don't bring as many tryout guys into camp. But it's been fun to have extra personnel, extra bodies, and everybody seems excited. We've got a brand new building this year that we're moving into, and that's certainly injected an excitement amongst the players and amongst the staff. We got new uniforms. We've just got a complete rebrand going into this year. So it's been fun. It's been fun to have the guys around. It's been fun to have hockey back, and everybody's excited about the upcoming weekend with the 2 preseason games, and then looking ahead to our regular season that starts the following weekend. We hit the road in Des Moines, Iowa to kick things off. So there's just a buzz among the group. It's been really refreshing to get things started this year.
Nick Nollenberger joining us. Final question. You mentioned the new building. You guys have played at the Shark Tank since you moved out to San Jose. How does that help your franchise as you guys try and move forward?
Oh, it's tremendous. As you could imagine, being a quote unquote minor league team or an American League team in a major league city certainly presents its challenges. And then you couple that with the fact that you're playing in a 17,500 seat arena built for an NHL team. It's just tough to get that atmosphere you're looking for on a nightly basis. Then you add on top of that the fact that the Sharks are the number one tenant. And then in front of the Barracuda are concerts, comedy shows, and every other event that they can pull into the arena. So your schedule is affected, the dates are affected, the times are affected. Over my time with the team, this will be year number 7. We played at least 10 games a year that were 1:15 starts on Saturdays. So we'd have doubleheaders at the SAP Center. You'd have 4 professional teams basically in one hallway between the American League teams playing and the NHL teams playing. So you get an NHL morning skate at 11 a.m., then an AHL game at 1:15, and then an NHL game at 7:30. So as you can imagine, not only was it a congested hallway, the ice was a little bit beat up by the time the NHL game would get underway. And it just wasn't ideal for a pro team trying to sell tickets and trying to provide an atmosphere to play on Tuesdays and Wednesdays all the time and get a 1:15 slot on a Saturday. This is going to completely change our schedule. The atmosphere will completely change. When you have a 4,200 seat arena, which is Texas Arena, our brand new building, as you could imagine, on a Tuesday or Wednesday night when you've got 700-800 people in the building, at SAP Center, that may seem completely empty, but in a 4,200 seat arena, there's still going to be an atmosphere. So that's going to make a huge difference. I think the players are going to have a lot more pride playing in San Jose. We're able to build a fan base that is outside of the umbrella or the shadow of the NHL team. And I think everybody valued and appreciated playing at the SAP Center. It's pretty cool to play in an NHL building, but it had run its course. It was time for the team to move out of the shadow of the NHL team. And everybody is absolutely ecstatic about the move. And to be able to move into an arena like this is pretty incredible, especially again in the Bay Area where real estate is sky high and it's hard to find space to build anything. It's hard to get approval for anything. So to be able to have this arena is pretty incredible. And for your fans who are unfamiliar with the facility, it started as a 2-rink facility built for the Sharks back in the early 90s in 93. The team started in 91. Built back in 93, it's expanded to then 4 rinks. And now we just added 2 more with the arena and additional practice sheets. So we have 6 total rinks, including the arena. It was a 200,000 square foot expansion. It makes it the largest facility of its kind in North America. So that covers Canada as well. So it gives an idea of how big and robust the facility is. It's absolutely incredible. It's state of the art. And it's pretty awesome to be a part of the move. And for all those like myself who were with the team when they were playing out of the SAP Center, it's a pretty rewarding move as well, as we can finally kind of move into our own identity and start something fresh here.
Well, that's awesome, man. It sounds like it's a great opportunity for you to kick off a new era of Barracuda hockey, and just seeing the pictures, it looks tremendous. Hopefully I can get out there and see it sometime. So
absolutely. Yeah, I would love to have you. And as I said off the top, really excited to have this partnership. It's been great just communicating with you so far in the early stages here. I think it's going to be really valuable for the organization as a whole and for the players just to have that consistent pipeline and have that communication. Players know where they're going to go. They know that it's not a huge leap to get back to San Jose, back to the Bay Area, back to the American Hockey League. So looking forward to the partnership, looking forward to seeing these teams and the organization as a whole and see where everybody ends up at the end of the year. But yeah, fun times ahead for sure. Hockey is back.
Hockey is back. Hey, one thing I wanted to show you, give me a second. I told you earlier when we had talked that, my favorite player growing up was Doug Wilson, right? So this is the autograph photo that he gave me when I met him when I was like 7 or 8 years old. So,
wow.
Yeah. But
love that.
What's that?
I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah. I don't know where my dad found that, but he still had it. So
love that.
hey, Nick, pleasure to talk to you. looking forward to the season, and hopefully you guys get off to a good start. Enjoy the rest of training camp.
Thank you, Jason, and we wish you the best of luck as well. We'll be keeping tabs on the season in Wichita and seeing how the guys are progressing. But thank you again for the time, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Sounds good. That's Nick Nollenberger. He's the voice of the San Jose Barracuda. Until then, next time, Thunder fans, take care. We'll talk to you again soon.